All right, welcome. Stage 4 of the Zwift games. The route today is Peaky, Pave. I'm obviously competing out of the 270 to 390 race category. Top end of the category for me now. And if I finish well, yeah, this will push me to the next race category, and I'll just be back on the grind trying to keep up instead of hunting for podiums. I am hoping for a top 10 finish here, but again, 2 massive climbs, 1 to finish the race. It's not exactly playing to my strengths. We'll see how it goes. A lot of flats. If the race starts hot, I can handle it. If it starts slow, even if we hit like a cruising pace, 230, 240, that's my cruising pace. That's where I'm comfortable. That's where I live. No way to tell until we obviously get into it, but 91 rider field, so still a bigger field. That's pretty good. Hoping for a little less competition, but it is what it is. All right, 10 seconds to go. Let's do it.
So if you were listening during the intro, it's some excellent foreshadowing of the race to come. In fact, the simple fact that I can narrate even in race tells you a lot about where the pace on this one was at. It was slow by all measure.
Wake up.
That's me just cracking the whip on the legs, trying to make sure that they're awake for what I anticipate is going to be a hot ride on the flats, like somewhere around 250, 270, all the way to pretty much a kilometer or so before the first climb hits.
Like I thought, kind of started a little slow.
And indeed, it did start slow. So we'll zoom through this first flats part here. Not really much going on. If you pay attention to the top left corner, you see the wattage. It's hanging in around the low 200s, high 100s. I don't know, comparatively for most Cat C races, we're moving fairly slow. And I think everybody else had the same idea as me, in that you just want to maintain a steady pace. Try not to overwork yourself. Save whatever energy you can. I mean, sure, it gets up there during some of those, as we come through some of these rollers, but again, nothing crazy.
All right. Don't forget the goal. Hold draft, hold wheels. Pace. I'll hit it hard, but I'll settle in.
And I suppose I hit it hard enough. I'll speed it up here again. I suppose I hit it hard enough, and I do settle in amongst the leaders, which is exactly what the plan was. Again, though, it's a rather timid race by all measures. I think everybody was sort of thinking the same thing. Set a nice pace. Don't get too crazy with it, especially given how much of a climb we've got to go here. But there were spots where any one of us should have demonstrated some more aggression. Like on some of these flatter parts here, you had an opportunity to really hurt people, really make it sting a little bit, create that much more effort for everyone else, and you were probably still going to be fairly safe in terms of burning yourself out. We're below 300 watts here. We could have been well north of that, and it wouldn't have changed. I don't think it would have changed the outcome of the climb, but it would have hurt some people even more. Again, we hit the flat here. Everybody takes a respite. We get below 250 there for a second. As we near the top, that's where the lead group starts to lay down a little bit more consistent power, north of 300. Yes, again, timid in the yellows where the grade is lower, but on these last two oranges, these last two climbs up to the peak, everybody's putting it down pretty solid, and we do end up snapping the elastic and dropping a few riders here, absolutely, and that's obviously what you want. But if it had been played a little bit more aggressively, I think you would have dropped even more, especially when we get to the top here.
All right, pressure on. Who wants to go? Who wants to sit?
It's probably right here where I start to realize just how much we're lacking in aggression in this race. We could have put down some sustained power here, like, 250 plus, 300-ish, and we would have been dropping a number of other riders, I think, who eventually will end up catching us. You can see on the mini map how we're just taking off from some people, and we're barely even trying here. We're below 200 watts.
That's exactly how I wanted to do that climb. Nice and paced and controlled. Minimal energy spent. No feather pop.
Now, granted, I'm sticking to the script here for sure, but in the same respect, like, we got a whole bunch of flat for recovery. The time to push and apply pressure was right back at the peak, and I don't think any of us recognized
Now
that.
it's just a 20-minute long question as to whether or not I got the legs for that climb and a strong finish today. I better at 171 watts. This is easy gear.
It's this moment right here where I lose the race. Recognizing that I had lots more to give to push pace, this should have been where I did it.
Oh no, we got a chase group. They'll probably catch. We're not really pushing pace.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And sure enough, the chase group, they do catch. Minus this one half-hearted breakaway attempt up front here. Really nobody makes any major aggressive moves, and we end up just cruising down the road in the low 200s. This was, again, an opportunity to demonstrate some aggression and really lead out and really try to force a higher wattage onto the field. The reason why nobody else is doing it is because they've all got the same idea I do, I believe. Just conserve energy as much as possible, save it for the final climb. But again, that's my weakest area. That's where these guys are going to dominate me, so I should be bleeding them now and pressing my own advantage here, in that really I could have held a much higher wattage, probably 240, 250, and really made some people stink.
We're in 20K now. That's a limit for most Zwift races, it seems, so people are probably starting to feel it.
Alright, let's freeze it up right here, and I want you to make a mental note of this guy up front right now in the TDZ kit with the pink Tron bike. Gan, I believe was his name. I think that he had the same idea as me, because it's right here with whatever it is, about, I don't know, 11K left, where he starts to push his own pace.
I'm pretty good, I'm good. 220, 92 RPM, 138 HP or BPM. I'm cruising.
And that's the thing, right now I'm more than good. I am in a great spot to start pushing.
I'm where I need to be. Again, seem to always be where I need to be during the race. It's at the end of it that we always have a problem.
And this is the key learning of this race. When the race conditions dictate that your strategy for that race needs to change, you need to change your strategy. And I certainly did not do that during this race, and ultimately, yeah, I do believe it was my undoing. If I felt I had the strength to lead out or even attack here, I should have been doing it at every point I felt I could.
Just in case somebody takes a flyer. I could see that right about now. It's a good spot. Like this. You push a little bit more power here. You could snap the group. But I ain't gonna do that.
I won't lie, it's pretty frustrating to be able to highlight exactly what I should be doing and then watch myself not do it. If I had been pecking away at people earlier with small attacks, there's a good chance that if I had let out with some sustained power here, I know it's not necessarily the right place to do it, but if I had let out with some sustained power, I think it would have at least hurt and maybe dropped some more riders.
There's our flyer. I don't think so.
Whoever it is who jumped off the front here with leading a small attack, I don't disagree with the move. I just think it was ill-timed and really something that we all should have been doing throughout the course of the entire race, as I've said. And this is where the pink Tron bike pops up on my radar again. If I had to guess, I would think that he might have had kind of like a 5 kilometer end game, 5 kilometer plan strategy, because this is where he starts to really push his own pace and settle in for the start of this climb. Really not much goes on in the initial stretch here. We're all working fairly hard, but we're also all keeping pace, just trying to stay to the bunch and collect what draft might be available to us.
Next week, grab a wheel. That's
great advice. Entirely appropriate when we're on these steeper gradient sections, and not the problem. All the problem is actually with the yellow gradients, the lower gradients where, as you see, I'm not pushing as hard as I really should be.
I want that wheel.
It's right here where I see Gann sort of going off the front and putting in a push, and we're coming up to one of these lower gradient sections, and forgive my frustration, but I knew right then and there that I needed to put in a dig and try and catch to the leader, and somehow I'm still sitting here just doing 224, 237, like I'm in the low 200s when really I should be back out at, well north of 300
4 meters. The leader might blow up. I gotta be there.
Now it's right here where everybody, including myself, is starting to struggle. And I'm kind of hoping in vain that the leader is gonna, blow up and just run out of gas, which, spoiler, he doesn't. That being said, I'm now thinking to myself, okay, it's time for me to start putting in a pretty heavy dig too. Try to make up that gap and hope for the best that if I do catch him, he may, in fact, not have what he needs to finish strong. And it's here coming up to this last bit of yellow where I make what's probably my most crucial error. I'm well positioned at this point right here, and I know I need to dig, but I was still of the mind that I was going to hold Gann's wheel and, I don't know, wait longer to make my... Meanwhile, he's running up his watts per kg compared to mine, and as a result, just sort of slowly pulling away from him. As we start into the home stretch towards the line, it's pretty obvious right about here that I'm not anywhere near positioned where I want to be when I let my feather off. And yes, I've watched this back numerous times, and I definitely popped it a little bit too early. If I had held on to it a little longer, maybe the outcome would be different, but I was still poorly positioned when I set it off. Alright, let's freeze it up here, because this is where the errors I made earlier in the race really compound themselves and decide my final finishing position. As you can see in the top left here, I'm about to lose my feather weight. I'm in the final big push, north of 400 watts, and I'm running at 103 RPMs in what I guess you could consider a low gear if we're about to start a sprint finish. And as you're going to see, around this final bend here, I'm losing my feather. I've given it my all. I'm ready to blow up. And that's when dudes start passing and I start panic shifting in an effort to keep up.
Ah! 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 Shit! Ah! Oh shit! Fuck!
And I apologize for the profanity there, but you gotta understand it's entirely frustrating when you're almost certain that a podium was within your grasp. And yeah, it's not the first time something like this has happened to me. I'm sure it won't be the last, but it's just another example of me mistiming the finish, which probably could have been mitigated by doing a few things differently during and throughout the course of the race, other than just trying to hang on, keep up with everybody else. Ultimately, hanging on and keeping up with everybody else, yeah, it gets me a top 10 finish here, but it doesn't put me on the podium because, again, there were stronger climbers in that lead group waiting for that exact moment to blow by me, and they certainly do. I give them credit, especially Gann for holding on as long as he did. Really great showing by him. Impressive to say the least. And this is really the honest difference between a competitive Cat C rider and a podium-taking Cat C rider, in that I just make those little errors throughout the course of the race that ultimately impact finish. And it's summed up rather nicely here in Peaky after I'm done.
Effort. Right about the 800 meter mark, where I knew first place was probably catchable with a feather. And as it turns out, he wasn't. Good job on his end, as well as the three guys holding my wheel behind me. Again, I ended up doing their work for them. That's pretty common and typical for me. Once you're behind me, I don't care. Oh, it's disappointing. But then again, not really. I should just let go of first. And then look to launch at like 500 or 400 meters. Start putting down sustained power. And then maybe you got enough to get out of the saddle and do like a sprint for the last 150 meters like I saw some people doing. I just had nothing left. I lost that feather a little bit too, I must have launched, I popped it too early. Just a little too early. If I had it a little longer during that heavy part at the end, I might have had him. That's just bad power-up management, maybe. Still a good race. I think there was more left. I should have pushed it. I should have pushed pace during the flats. All these guys are probably sitting back, biding their time for the climbs. I don't think my climbing performance is going to differ much if I'm pushing the pace at, say, 230, 240, maybe with surges at 250, 260 on the flats. Then maybe I tire guys out enough to give myself more of a fighting chance on that last climb. I don't know, I'm gonna have to look at it again. I'm gonna have to see the footage.
And there you have it. A fairly accurate, real-time summation of where I went wrong here and what I could have done to maybe improve upon my finishing spot. Really, it just is what it is. And certainly a learning experience for the next race. I got to make some tactical changes to how I race.
forward. Anyway, that's it for this one. Till the next one. Peace.